So I guess people need to know how we are all connected. So Drew and I met Rojo through a mutual friend. Drew and I are drummers, and we got done doing a tour around South America, and we got to eat some really good food, and we wanted to figure out how to do that. We'd always enjoyed cooking, but we never had any like formal training or introduction. It was just a bunch of YouTube and trial and error. So we reached out to Rojo and basically said, we want to learn how to get better. The first thing that he had us do at our first cooking lesson was basically, here's how you hold a knife. I'm not going to teach you how to make any tacos, no sauces. You don't get to learn how to make pasta unless you know how to properly hold a chef knife. And that was terrifying for me. I think it was for you too, because we're drummers and we use our hands. Not only did we learn the way that we have been holding a knife is actually more dangerous for our hands than the proper chef way. It was a big learning curve. And then from there, it turned into cooking lessons and meals for a bunch of friends, which turned into a little high-end catering company. And in the midst of COVID, Rojo went up to Ohio, and Drew and I are here. So it's important for everybody to know Drew and I are only existing as the Nashville Taco Club because of Rojo's influence into our life. That's how we met him. It's very important. He's humble. He will disagree with me. I'm going to nip that in the bud first. So that's how we met him. Rojo, do you want to give a little background on what you've done and how you got to this point where you are now?
It's a long way back. Well, I feel like, first of all, I got here when I was 14. That's like, and I started just washing dishes and serving chips and salsa in a Mexican restaurant in Fairview. Charrito, I don't know if he's still there or not, probably not. And so in the kitchen, my dad was the chef. My uncles, they are also like the cooks around. And I was just kind of like the helper all around. And I mean, ever since then, my dad was like, hey, jump into the kitchen. I need to teach you the basic of how to hold a knife, how to cook a steak right, how to not burn this, how to hold this, how to, like all the basics. That was like the very beginning of it. Then I love food. Mexican culture, Mexican food is just so rich and it's just very delicious.
So what are some of the places in Nashville that people would know that you've worked at?
Nashville, I worked for a miniature hunt for a little bit. Mostly I've been working in Franklin. Sperry's, one of the places that people might know. Bonefish, that was a good place. And the Boathouse, those are the most popular thing that people will recognize.
Also, Whole Foods was pretty popular.
Yes.
Whole Foods taught me big volume prep.
Yeah, it's a pretty popular place in Nashville.
Yeah, and that was really interesting when I went through there. Yeah.
So I have a question. Do you have a memory of a first meal that made you want to learn how to cook? Like, was there a meal that maybe your dad showed you or someone of influence showed you and you're like, I have to know how to do this?
Well, I didn't make it and they didn't teach me how, but my grandma, I remember she used to make this great picadillo, which is literally just like ground beef with tomato sauce and like some vegetables. We have to kind of like reduce it and then, add the chicken broth and all this stuff. I didn't realize that until later, but it's such a simple dish that was one of my first memories of food that I love. It's down to the roots.
Tell us about this blackened shrimp taco. Where is the inspiration and what can people expect flavor-wise from this taco that you've created?
Well, blackened shrimp, it's got Cajun seasoning basically, with shrimp, butter.
Don't tell them how to make it.
But
yeah, that's our competitive advantage is we actually know how to do this.
Just give them.
It's not a complicated taco at all.
Well,
so the most interesting part about this taco, I believe, for me, is the salsa, because if you make it with we're gonna make it with mango this time, and it's very simple, very fruity and tangy. It's got some sourness to it because you get the lime juice and a little bit of vinegar if you can. Also, I discovered the fruit sauces like this in Dominican Republic when I went to visit, and they have all kinds of fruit sauces. Like fruit, it's in every single salsa. Mangoes, pineapples, star fruit, you name it, and it's just like all over. Putting those fruity sauces on the shrimp with the tortilla and a little bit of salsa there, like green or some kind of red salsa, man, it was delicious. So that's where it came from.
Gotcha.
With that being said, I'm just sidetracking a little bit. What are your thoughts of pineapple on pizza? Because it kind of sounds similar.
Love it.
Yeah, you would.
I'll do it too. Thin crust all day.
Yeah.
Nope. Big
All right.
hard nope. Aside from the blackened shrimp tacos, what are one or two of your personal favorite tacos?
My personal favorite tacos. Number one, pastor, hands down. That's it's got pineapple too, so that tells you.
Yeah, it sure does.
But there's some ingredients that here in the U.S. are kind of hard to find, and maybe not hard to find, like the achiote paste, which is like a key ingredient for the pastor taco, which makes it a little bit more hard to come to the U.S. Because we use achiote in Mexico for a lot of things, and that's one of the things that will make the pork nice and tasty, tender, so good.
Cool.
Barbacoa is another one. Barbacoa, just cannot go away from it.
Yeah, we've been including our Porter Road Sierra steak cuts for the barbacoa, and there's few things in the world better than barbacoa.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a good
and pastor. I mean, the same. Yeah, they're really, really good.
Rojo, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with us. Share a little bit about your story. I know our subscribers are eager to get to know you better, and for those that are following our journey along on social media. So again, thanks for hanging out with us.
Thanks for having me.